So, let's just talk. What in the deedly-doo do I have to talk about? Well, there are a number of things to talk about. Number one, what I want to do with this channel, because I have no clue what I'm doing. I don't think I ever have any clue what I'm doing, ever. And that's probably the main reason nothing I ever do is I don't finish anything, to put things simple. And there are a number of reasons. Some stuff I don't even bother starting because I just become overwhelmed with, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? You know? Like, there's a book that I really, really want to write. Just one book. You know, I have no desire to create any other books, just one book. That would be a backstory for a character in a comic that hasn't even shown up in the comic yet. That's a funny thing. But the story is, it's a vampire western. Love westerns, you know. They used to be completely oversaturated or whatever. I love westerns. The genre used to be completely oversaturated, and that's why it's no longer around. But you know, I don't think even if it is oversaturated, I don't think a genre should completely disappear. You know, but I particularly like westerns with John Wayne. Clint Eastwood, jeez. All that jazz. I mean, for the longest time, my favorite movie ever was The Warrior's Way, which was, you know, sword fighting meets western, whatever. And, my favorite anime of all time, which will always remain my favorite anime, just because it just does, is Trigun, which is a space western. I know I really need to watch Cowboy Bebop, but I probably won't. Anyway, what was I talking about? I went off on a tangent. Oh, this book. So, you know, I want to create this book about the guy, you know, western time period that gets turned into a vampire. Well, one of the things I want is, you know, some historical accuracy to it. And the more and more research that I do, the more and more all these things just pile up, and they just become overwhelming. And the reason I haven't, you know, written much, I've only written like half a chapter of the first chapter. And I've even planned out, you know, like all the chapters I want, whatever type thing, and when I want different plot points to happen. Of course, all that stuff is set in stone, but it is a, you know, base to write everything off of. But it's the same reason that I watch a lot of critical analyzing of movies and stuff like that, because I'm a huge movie nerd. I'm that person that can name every actor ever, just point them out like crazy and stuff. And a lot of it has to do with, that's how I was raised. My dad, he thought it was important for me to know actors, and he would constantly be quizzing me on how to know actors. And now it's just become, you know, a part of me at this point, that like I'll be having a conversation with someone, they'll be like, "What? You don't know that actor? How could you not know that actor?" Like, and I mean like basic actors, like Steve Buscemi, to have conversations with, you know, regular people. A whole bunch of them be like, "Oh, yeah, I recognize that guy. I didn't know his name." I'm like, how could you not know his name? But anyway, you know, the film is something I'm very passionate about and something that I want to do. Film is something that I'm, you know, very passionate about and stuff. And I have my own thoughts and opinions and all that. But I don't want to make any of those videos because I have no trust in my own opinions. I'm such, you know, a critical person when it comes to just about everything. Like, I'm one of those people, you know, a lot of people talk about how people really generally just watch videos with opinions that they agree with, but I just enjoy hearing everyone's opinion. I just watch and watch and watch. And because, you know, I'm in the mindset of trying to put in everybody's thought process at the same time, and all that junk, it just gets all confuddled in my brain, and I'm like, whatever. But I'm making this video just because I didn't make a video last week, and I just wanted to kind of, update on this bull crap. So, well, actually I did. Or was it the previous week? I can't remember when I uploaded it, but I uploaded the opening to Cult. Cult is a project that I'm working on that spawned from, you know how there's stuff like videos where people are, just playing with toys and shit, and they kind of create like a whole narrative or whatever. Well, I got in the thought process, hey, I collect toy cars. So, what if I created a whole story based on the idea of these toy cars? Well, I have the whole, I really, really want to do this stupid idea. It is very stupid. But I'm so excited about it, So, I finished the opening, I released it, and then I started working on the first episode. And initially, like, I have some old footage or whatever. Initially, I was going to do, practical things, like build the whole set and stuff. And, I've had this idea bouncing around for a very long time or whatever. And the whole practical effects thing was, I'm not skilled enough, and I don't know where to search to find tutorials on how to make some of this stuff, because I want to make some good sets and stuff or whatever. And when you look into, props, you get big props. If you look into, I don't know, something like dioramas or whatever, you get the wrong stuff that you're not looking for. And if you look into claymation, it's like, make it in clay. And I'm like, I don't want to make stuff in clay. I want to make stuff with, stuff that I have easily, like cardboard or paper, just the plastic, I don't know, simple shit that I can do. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, make stuff out of simple shit that I can do. Right. And I recently got a green screen, and I want to do some stuff with the green screen. And I was like, hey, I'm an artist. Maybe I could green screen this stuff and just make the backgrounds digitally. So I set up the whole green screen thing, and I filmed half of the first episode or whatever, all the lines, and it was oh my gosh, it was something else. Oh no. But nonetheless, I was excited to just at least get that first episode out there or whatever and stuff. Well, when I went into the editor to green screen, I use Shotcut. I don't have money, so I can't pay monthly for... I just don't make enough money to, pay for an editor and that's good, I mean, Shotcut does pretty well for me. I like Shotcut. But when it comes to the green screen, if you don't have perfect lighting, then it's not going to do the best. So all this footage just became completely useless. And now I'm like, well, I don't have any good lighting if that lighting didn't work, then I just straight up don't have good enough lighting to, make this work. So I'm gonna have to do practical effects, and so I'm gonna have to film all of that shit all over again, and that makes me sad. So this will be the third time filming this stuff. But the initial set that I had built for it or whatever and filmed, that thing is kind of, it's been abused, and by abused it's been neglected. By neglected I mean it's kind of fallen apart, so I'll have to build a whole new little set thing or whatever out of cardboard. And here's another thing, paint. Like, I don't have enough paint. I used a lot of paint on that one set item or whatever, it sucks. Creativity sucks. I've got so many projects in my brain. Like, I have a movie script that I'm working on. I don't, obviously, the chances of me ever making a movie are non-existent. But I'm making the movie script nonetheless, and it's fun. It's about, well, if I ever do make it, I don't want to spoil it, the basic plot, because the plot is a twist, if you know what I mean. Like, I want the twist to happen kind of at the midpoint of the movie, and then the rest of the movie is just about, you know, I don't know, it's just an interesting idea that I've had. I've also got 4 comics. I've got Tar, which is that's the whole thing. It's a character that people like. Me and my friend share the character. He posts all the art on Amino through the Demon of Trickery, is what it's called or whatever. And it's got like a whole fan base or whatever. And it's one of those things. It's kind of a shared situation. It's an odd situation, and I don't know how to deal with the its stuff. On the other hand, so, you know, that's the only thing I've ever made that's like successful or whatever, and I want to capitalize off of that or whatever. It's just a bunch of different drawing ideas that have just been posted out into the world through his account. I want to, you know, make a whole comic. I've got like 3 pages. I've got a bunch more planned, but I have no direction that I want to take this comic. I have a bunch of ideas and stuff, but a bunch of nothing. Then we have my longest running comic that I've been working on since middle school, and because I've been working on it since middle school, it's cringe. It's just 100% cringe. So I recently started working on redoing pages, and I'm just gonna end up making a whole new comic, redoing the first few pages, because this is the whole idea of the comic was originally just to make a lazy, half-assed, easy to make comic. So one of the things that allowed me to just shell out pages pretty quickly was I was doing 1-page comics, if you know, like 1 panel a page, and I was doing these really low effort half-assed drawings or whatever. I mean, I wasn't that good at art then, but to combine that with the fact that I was doing them half-assed just is the worst. But then, you know, I started kind of writing down ideas and stuff, and then I was like, oh shit, I love this. I actually love this. I have a whole fucking thing that I want to do, and then I'm still making pages now, and I have a whole bunch of pages planned, but it hurts me every time I upload a page, because I know that if I was ever to get any new people involved in this, they're going to see the first few crappy pages that is the foundation that this story is based on. So, that sucks. Oh, then we've got, it's a little bit later, but we've got Welcome to My House. Welcome to My House is a story about a bunch of monsters living in a house together. And it's heavily inspired by one of my favorite comic creators, who created the Charby the Vampirate, Here There Be Monsters, Unlife is Unfair. For some reason I can't think of her name. I'll put the links down below, but I highly recommend you read her comics. I love them. I love them to death. I should make a vid. See, there's something one of the things I want to talk about is all the comics that I read, because I read a lot of web comics and stuff. I need to get back up to date with my comics. But this comic about monsters, it's still, I have, that comic has so many characters that just haven't been introduced yet. We've got 2 characters introduced. We've got, like, I think I've done like 10 pages or whatever. We're about to introduce, like, probably my favorite character or whatever in it, but I just haven't gotten there. Right now there's been a long period between update because I've been working on a page that involves backgrounds, and I freaking hate drawing backgrounds. Backgrounds are the worst. Don't know why I hate them, but I hate them. And it's just, I'm almost done with the page. I just have 1 panel left. Like, it's basically one of the characters is giving another character a tour of the house, and it's a mansion or whatever, so I wanted to draw, you know, nice detailed backgrounds or whatever. And yeah, it's just, I have 1 panel left for drawing the bathroom, and I'm just, whatever. So that comic is, it exists. Some of the earlier pages are, like, the first 2 or 3 pages are off because they're not too long after my longest running comic when I made them, but there is a large time gap between those first few pages and some of the later pages, so it's a little bit more okay than the previous comic. For when I put actual time and effort into this comic, this was supposed to be a comic with effort in it, you know? And then I've got one, and the last one is my Star Trek fan comic, which I'd rather not mention that it exists. It's just something fun that I'm doing on the side. It's a dumb idea that probably doesn't work in any capacity within the Star Wars lore. It's just an idea that I had one day that I thought was kind of fun or whatever, and is probably... Here's the whole thing. Making something like a Star Trek fan story in general is difficult because it is such an intense sci-fi world, you know, like there's the world building and stuff in the Star Wars universe is just so much. And I love Star Trek, but I'm not like, I'm not intensely, you know, knowledgeable. Like, I've watched all the episodes of Voyager, I've watched all the episodes of the original series, and I've watched some of Next Generation. I haven't watched Deep Space Nine. I've seen some of the movies, but for the most part, it was like, I watched the whole series once, and then I go into, like, you know, some of my favorites every once in a while. I should probably rewatch some of it. So my knowledge is just, it's surface level, you know. I watched it, I enjoyed it, but I'm not studying it, you know. Which is what creating something Star Trek would require, because it's true sci-fi. Which there's a huge lack of sci-fi in the world. It's so sad. Sci-fi is one of the, it should be, you know, it is in literature. Sci-fi is not, and I mean true sci-fi, not sci-fi fantasy. I mean sci-fi, science fiction, is a core genre, and people just, it's when they make movies, it's either sci-fi fantasy, and it even shows sci-fi fantasy. And you know what? I'll stop talking about this. This is something that I should make a video about. In fact, when I'm done with this video, I'm gonna make another video and I'll upload it this week. That's a promise that I'm not making to you because oh man. So let's talk about my goals for this channel. Other than that series or whatever. This channel, you know, they always tell you, hey, pick something specific and, you know, stick to that with your channel. And, you know, that's true. It's a bad decision not to. But I'm actively making the choice to make whatever the hell I want. Just whatever pops into my brain. Because for me to just, I'm so bad at sticking to things, the best solution is to just have a large variety of things and just actually make something. Because the more things that there are for me to make, the odds are that I actually upload something, if you know what I'm saying. But, so what I'm trying to stick to, instead of sticking to a specific thing that I want to do, a specific topic, is stick to a specific, I don't know, aesthetic or whatever type thing that or theme that encapsulates my entire channel. And what I have chosen, because it is the kind of shit that I watch, is cursed or cringe shit. You know, just like, okay, the reason in particular, I watch a shit ton of anime. And it's because the humor of anime gets me. Now, I love, you know, wordplay and all that junk. I have a love-hate relationship with puns. Like, if it's real good, it'll make me laugh. And if it's real bad, I'll probably cringe and smile. So I won't necessarily like it, but it'll still make me smile. You know what I'm talking about. You know that the best way I could describe it is happy embarrassment. You know, when someone's, I don't know how to describe that. It's whatever. That's how I feel on puns. Anyway, but anime has, okay, so probably my favorite comedy anime is and manga, I love the manga as well, is Beelzebub. I watched that whole anime and then I was just like, okay, I dug this. It's so rare that, you know, if I read a manga, I usually don't watch the anime, and if I watch an anime, I don't read the manga. I just don't cross between the two because, you know, even though they're usually like way different or whatever, you're still going through the same shit, and I just didn't want to do that, you know. It just feels like a waste of time to me, you know. And usually, in some way or another, I'm disappointed. It's just how it is. Oh man, I'll talk to you about Midori Days at the end. Don't even fuck that. Anyway, but Beelzebub, I like humor that confuses me. I like just silly nonsense. Something that's funny, not because it's thought out, per se, but because, why? Like, I want something to make me laugh, and at the same time just say, why though? Why though? That's my kind of humor, you know? Like, the video that I made my channel trailer, I made that my channel trailer because, in my opinion, that's the kind of shit that just, it's stupid, you know? It's just stupid. There is a line though, and I can't tell you when it is crossed and when it is not, when stupidity is just that, stupidity, you know? Maybe I should make a video on that as well. There's so many things. I have this huge list of video ideas of stuff to make, and, you know, I don't know what to do with it. I have a large list. I need to film stuff. It's like, there's no shortage of ideas. I just have to make the stuff. And that's the issue. Actually making all this crap. Number one, I don't want to make crap. I want to make it, you know, quick and easy for myself, but I also don't want to make crap, which is what I did on my old channel. I made it in middle school, and all it is just a middle schooler syndrome trash, because that's what I had. I'm not shit. Man, I think most kids had that, but especially if you're an anime fan, you're running around like fucking Naruto. You're trying to be like, me and my friend would have like a contest on who could be like more just edgy, if you know what I mean, like in conversation. It was just dumb middle school syndrome shit. Oh man. What else do I have to talk about? The camera just proceedingly just gets lower and lower and lower. Anyway. My wrist hurts. Here's another thing. So when making videos, it's still, like, there was a certain point when I was making videos on, my old channel in middle school where I had just become comfortable with talking to the camera and all that shit, and I just kind of, because there was such a long gap of years between it, and, you know, of course from middle school to high school you change a whole lot as a person or whatever. You know, I used to be a lot more outgoing. My ADHD was more in the form of never shutting the fuck up, but then over time, over the years and years and years of, you know, because I had no brain filter, just saying the wrong thing and, you know, realizing immediately after it came out of my mouth that, oh shit, and then having, you know, people say, okay, could you, you know, calm down, stop talking, you know, all that junk, whatever. It just kind of, you know, became, well, you know, I don't know how to talk to people no more. And the only time I just chat like a maniac is when I'm around, you know, really close friends. I just went from extrovert to introvert, which is a fascinating thing because people talk about how introverts can't become extroverts, but apparently extroverts can become introverts, which is just, ain't that depressing? Ain't that depressing? I've always called myself an extroverted introvert because for the most part I am. It depends on the situation. Like, if I'm comfortable, I get all the energy from people, from talking to people. Like, I don't get worn down from talking to people. But at the same time, if I'm uncomfortable, like if I'm around people I don't know, and certain people I just never get comfortable around, it's weird, but it just is the case. I'm just quiet the whole time, and then when I talk to them, it drains me. Does that make sense? I don't know. I forgot some shit. So what else projects I've got? Okay, comics. Oh, speaking of comics, I have this one comic that I've been working on since 9th grade. I'm getting so close to the end of it. It's got so many issues. Number one, I wrote it all in a notebook, you know, just sketched out stuff. Most of the drawings are just the circles, but because of the way I wrote it, you know, I know who's who. Just, I do. If I showed it to anyone else, they would just be like, okay, I have no clue who the hell's talking, what the fuck's going on, but because it's my story, you know, I do. But there's some shit in, like, the early beginning that just, the beginning probably just needs to be rewritten entirely. Because I was utilizing the, you know, whole page or whatever, whenever I do make the comic, the paneling is just going to have to be completely reworked. There's some plot points that were brought up, you know, somewhat early on, and I'm nearing the end of the book, and I realize that a whole bunch of elements were just forgotten. Like, they were supposed to come in and weave in throughout the story or whatever, and then come in at the end, and then they were introduced, and then, fuck them, you know? So, that's a whole thing. But that's the thing. The whole point of the whole thing with this comic, when I created it with the intention of, okay, I have a bunch of, web comics and stuff, and I prefer to upload online or whatever, because that's easy, and I can just have unfiltered ideas. I love unfiltered ideas. I love reading unfiltered ideas. I'll be honest. I love reading unedited thoughts. And I like making unedited thoughts. But this one would be the one that I put in all the good old effort and try to get it traditionally published. And, it's a dream. Just like anything else. I've got so much creativity in my brain that I'm so unskilled, and I have so much ADHD. It's so difficult for me to get, skilled. I just have to do everything through trial and error rather than study, which significantly slows the process of learning, And then there's some things that, you have to learn by doing, but by doing, you just don't want to do, because you know that when you do it, it's just going to be crap or whatever. And it's kind of like the whole thing of, when someone first becomes an artist, a lot of people, they feel discouraged with art because they're like, nothing I ever make it's all crap or whatever. And it's just like, well, of course it's crap. You've never done anything before. And I guess, me being such a creative, passionate person, I couldn't help but spill my thoughts out in drawings. And, I didn't do much tutorial watching or anything. I did watch a lot of YouTubers, but for the most part, I didn't really learn much from watching YouTube as far as drawing goes. It just came from, I didn't pay attention in class. It's just a fact. My ADHD brain just spent the entire class, all my classes, drawing in a notebook. And I passed with B's and C's. Oh man, it's still crazy to me that I passed. I mean, I guess I didn't, I never was making F's in any of my classes or whatever, except sometimes math. Math is not my strong suit, Anyway, so that's that. So I'm sure that you're wondering about my cars thing, cult. So I'll make a video explaining some of that. But for now, I'm gonna keep making shit, and hopefully it's keeps making me I don't know what to say. I never know what to say at the end of videos. It's just so much awkwardness, and I know that's just because it's early on in YouTube, and I haven't made enough videos or whatever, I have a hard time. Some of that's ADHD, but I have a hard time staring at the actual camera. You see me stare up to the side, everywhere, all over the place. I'm always all over the place, and yeah. That's the video. I don't know why you're still here. It's just me slowly having a mental breakdown. Jeez.